Hi, my name is Sarah and I like books. As I mentioned in the last challenge video, I'm doing the Do I Have That Other Book challenge. I have a lot of books, not necessarily by a book content creator's standards, but I have quite a sizable personal library that includes things that I have gotten more recently, all the way back to books I have from my childhood. I don't really have the ability to time myself on this challenge, but I am not reusing any books that I used in the previous challenge. There are 20 books each in both of these challenges, so I have to have at least 40 books. Percy is thinking of being a menace. Yeah. She's really getting close to my monitor. Okay, I'm laying down, just kidding. So I have to have at least 40 books, one of each for each of these prompts. I'm going to link the original creator of this challenge down below, but without further ado, let's get started. Do I have a book with a fox on the cover or part of the plot? I do. I have this edition of Redwall, which does have foxes in the plot, 2 of them to be exact, and I don't have one with a fox on the cover, but part of the plot, they are very important. I think that's actually my boyfriend's book, but we share custody of it, so works. Do you have a book that was published within 3 years of the year you were born? I do. I have Exquisite Corpse by Poppy Z. Bright. This was published in 1996, the year I was born. This was in my Splatterpunk Books video, but this is not just within a 3-year radius, but was published the year I was born. Do you have a book with music as a weapon or magic? I do. I have the first copy of Umbrella Academy, Apocalypse Suite. White Violin obviously uses music as her weapon. So, do you have a book with mismatched covers? Not really. I thought I had some old editions and some new editions of Unwind by Neil Shusterman. The closest I think I have is I have the paperback version of Last Night at the Telegraph Club, and I have the hardback edition of A Scatter of Light. They clearly are like meant to go together, but I have 2 different book binding options. I'm gonna count it, and no one can tell me otherwise. Do you have a book with a shapeshifter? I have Little Thieves by Margaret Owen, and one of the key parts of this book is that Vanya is able to use a necklace to shapeshift and take the form of Princess Giselle. So, shapeshifting. Do you have a book signed by the author? I have several books signed by the author, but I'm gonna show off 3. This guy just came in recently. It is They Were Here Before Us by Eric LaRocca. There is his signature. Very proud of that one. I have this Challenger Deep hardback by Neil Shusterman. There is his artwork and signature. And I have this illustrated edition of The Lightning Thief. And there is Rick Riordan's signature. So, I have more, but those are the 3 that I thought of and couldn't really pick between. Do you have a book with a mostly red cover? I have The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. This is not just a mostly red cover. I would say that this is entirely red. This edition has been through it. This is the copy. That is the copy that I carried with me in my backpack in high school. I read it a couple of times when I was a teenager. I didn't really take great care of that cute little cutout in the front, so it's been through it. Do you have a book between 287 and 306 pages? Bunny is 305 pages. I have not read this one yet. I just picked it up. It is one of my more urgent to be read books. I've heard it's fantastic, but it fits the page limit. Do you have a book with a main character that wears glasses? I do. I don't necessarily know that I can recommend this book. I kind of was okay with it when I read it, and then I sat with it more and looked at what some other reviewers had said, and they noticed the same issues with it that I had, which was that there was a lot of just not great depictions of different groups of people in it, but it did have a character with glasses. Theo does wear glasses. It is actually such a big deal, apparently, that he is nicknamed Potter because he wears glasses. Glad I thrifted this book, because I would have been really bummed if I had my first Donna Tartt book. So excited to be one of the people that liked dark academia, and then I ended up really not loving this. But it does fit the prompt. If you want to hear about like some of the issues that a lot of reviewers had with the Goldfinch, Jesse on YouTube, otherwise formerly known as Books and Bowties, has kind of a full breakdown on, I want to say, their Instagram. But I felt a little less alone whenever realizing other people did notice those things. I wasn't just reading too far into it, and finding out the history of that book afterwards. I was like, oh, I wish I had known this beforehand. I wouldn't have gone out of my way to look for a copy of it so hard. But you live and learn. Do you have a book with the same number of letters in the title as your first name? Yes. Spook by Mary Roach. This I have not read in a very long time, but I do remember really enjoying it. Mary Roach has several books in this vein that all kind of tackle one specific topic, and she interviews a ton of experts in said topic to kind of get a broad picture of the discipline. This one has to do with ghosts and the afterlife and what humans over the globe think happen once we die. It's very interesting. It lives on my mythology shelf usually, but Spook has the same number of letters as my name. Do you have a book with cybercrime or technology as a theme? Gleanings. I really like the Scythe series. I kind of like most things Neil Shusterman writes, but Gleanings in particular kind of fit the bill. It is a bunch of stories from the Arc of the Scythe, which is the series Scythe, Thunderhead, The Toll. This one is signed as well. Like I said, I have a lot of signed books. But Gleanings, this whole series has technology being a major theme. Do you have a book that was written in another language and translated to English? I do. Audition. This was another one from my Splatterpunk video, but this was originally written in Japanese. And translation was pretty good. I think it did a good job. Obviously, I know we lose some nuance when translating, but I think I got the gist. I think that this one did a great job. Do you have a book written by an Asian author? I have several. Audition was one, but I'm not reusing books. Killing Stalking. This is originally Korean, and the author is South Korean herself. This is another one of those ones that I would definitely not take this as a recommendation. I would be wary. I would look at what other people are saying about this one, but I enjoy the series and I can't wait for the third volume to be translated to English. Do you have a book with a moon on the cover? I do. And this is a relic of the past. Oh, actually, never mind. It's not as old as I thought it was. Did you know the Welcome to Night Vale book came out in 2015? I thought it came out way earlier than that. I mean, that's still old, but I got this whenever it came out in 2015. Has some beautiful end papers that are just, but this does have a little moon right there in the eye. It's the logo of the podcast as well. Do you have an illustrated children's book? I do. I have Shel Silverstein's The Missing Piece Meets the Big O. This is very simplistic illustrations, much in Shel Silverstein's style. It is illustrated. It is meant for children. I grew up on this, so I am counting it. Do you have a collection of fairy tales or myths? I do. I have several on my mythology shelf. Some of these questions are easier for me than others, for sure. But I'm going to go with this Celtic Myths and Legends. This one's very good. It's very informative. I have referenced it before when trying to learn about Celtic mythology. So, do you have a sci-fi or fantasy with a alliance between races? I swore I had a copy of Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit somewhere in this house. Didn't. Went and cheated and was looking in my partner's shelf thinking maybe he has a copy. He loves those books, was actually the person that made me read them for the first time, and I thought surely he has a copy. He doesn't. I asked him and he said that it is not here. He does not have one present. So I'm cheating, and I am going to go with my Adventure Zone graphic novel. Technically, if you want to get real technical, there is an alliance between races in this one. I'm sure it's talking a mass scale alliance between races, a la some kind of political, treaty of some kind, some kind of pact between nations. But this is what I've got, okay? They're different fantasy races and they're allies. Why doesn't that count? It does. It's my video and no one can tell me otherwise. Do you have a book with a narrow front cover? Much like the deckled edges of the last video, if I can avoid a narrow front cover, I will. I don't love narrow front covers. I think that I have not ever really liked them. Not as much as I hate faux narrow front covers where they kind of print the strip of different color where there should be a narrow front cover, but it's not my favorite. But I have a couple of narrow front cover books, and Darius the Great is Not Okay does indeed have that narrow front cover. So not a design choice I like. I would have preferred it extending all the way down towards the edge of the page, but I do have one. Do you have a book that includes the first chapter of the sequel? Yes, and I wasn't certain I still had any of these, but I recently picked up an old copy of The Looking Glass Wars, which does have the first chapter of Seeing Red, the sequel. So yes, Looking Glass Wars does have the first chapter of the sequel. Do I have Seeing Red here? Absolutely not. I was lucky to find this one. But it is out there, I've read it, and it for sure has the first chapter. Do you have a book with a broken spine? Yes, I break my spines quite often, especially with paperbacks. I'm quite rough on them, but if you want to see a book I've been rough on, this copy, the pages are yellowed. This copy of Magic by Angie Sage. It's the first book in the Septimus Heap series, and this book came out in 2005. This book came out in 2005, and I have had it since probably 6th grade, which, for reference, I'm 26 now, so that is many, many years that this book has been with me. It has cracked spine. It's got bent parts of the cover. The pages are stained. This has been through it. But I will always stand by the Septimus Heap series. I love it. I actually want to do a reread of it soon. Just look at all the damage on this book. Look at how loose that spine is. I'm never going to get rid of this book. As long as there is still glue holding the pages in place, this will still live with me because I love it so much. And it clearly has shown evidence of that. This book is the absolute epitome of that phrase, to be loved is to be changed, because this book is changed. The final prompt is a bonus question. Do you have a book that fits 3 or more of these criteria? I didn't think I did, but actually I do. The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime does indeed fit 3 or more of these prompts. It's got that awful, narrow front cover. It is obviously mostly red. That is the prompt I used it for. And barely visible on my camera, this book has a cracked spine. I'm not shocked that this book has a cracked spine. Yep, you can see it right there. Yep, you can see it right there. Cracked spine. I'm not shocked that that book has a cracked spine because I carried around in high school and I was a menace about cracking my spines. I didn't know that there was a different way to read paperbacks. I still crack my spines, to be honest. I'm trying to be more careful because I like to present my books, but happens, is what it is. But yes, Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime fits all 3. So that's a pretty good baseline of where I'm at with my personal library. The fact that I could do this challenge pretty easily, there were some books that I had to dig for that I wasn't certain what I was going to use. A book didn't immediately pop to my mind that would fit the prompt, especially the page number ones were bare to figure out. But I have a lot of books, and I think that kind of shows. I don't really get rid of books. I will sometimes donate them or put them in little free libraries if I really don't vibe with them. But largely, it takes me a while to remember to donate them. I have a ton of books. I would be really interested to see in a couple of years if I could do this challenge with entirely different books, entirely new set. That may be a little ambitious, but we'll see. Don't hold me to it. I'm probably going to end up having to clip this segment right here in, 3 years and redo these. But I had a really good time doing this challenge, and Woozle, could you crunch louder? I would appreciate it. He can crunch louder. I had a really good time doing this challenge. If you have any other challenges you want to see me try with my books, let me know down below. But I will see you next time. Bye. Do you hear how much shit I have to edit out because I don't know how to use my words?